Alrighty, guys. Hello and welcome to the show. That was Marina and the Diamonds with Power and Control. You're listening to Pop Culture Feminists on Studio U, Voice of OU. So glad you could join us today. Sorry we are starting our content a little bit late.
Yeet.
We were having some technical difficulties, but we're back on. We're here.
But who are we?
Oh boy. I didn't give our names. I feel like they should know by now, but I'll introduce us anyway. All right. We're the Pop Culture Feminists. I'm Scout.
And I'm Lily.
That's who we are
That's it.
and what we do.
Yeah.
All right.
We Lily and Scout, respectively. That's what we do.
I, Lily, and you, Scout.
Yes, exactly.
Great. That's cool.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we talk about feminism and pop culture, if you couldn't guess from our name. And today, we're talking about major book series that got turned into films.
Yee.
Yee.
Yee. Yes.
Okay, moving on. So, we're just going to kick it off with, I feel like, the easiest, most popular one that comes
Fresh
to mind.
in everyone's minds.
Hunger Games. Nice.
Hunger Games.
Good sound effect.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so Katniss
Yeah.
Everdeen,
Yeah.
our lovely leading lady, Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about, since we haven't touched on intersectionality in quite some time because we haven't needed to for our last couple of shows,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to talk about it today because, as we have mentioned in one of our much earlier shows, intersectionality is very important to feminism.
Yes.
You really can't operate true feminism without it.
No.
You really just can't. Yeah, that's when you get white feminism, and that's just gross.
Yeah.
Gross. Anyway, so, talking about Katniss, I can't help but kick off by saying I adore Jennifer Lawrence. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But she absolutely participated in some Hollywood whitewashing for this character.
Yes.
Katniss was not supposed to be white.
Mm-mm.
She's described as having an olive-toned skin in the book.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have to sigh about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Lawrence made a mistake. It's not good.
No.
It's not good. But she's the actor we have to talk about. I mean, we can talk about the books too, of course. And I think it's awesome that what's her name? Suzanne Collins. Suzanne Collins wrote a non-white lead character. Thank you, Suzanne Collins.
Yes.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, Hollywood made some not-so-great decisions. Jennifer Lawrence made some not-so-great decisions taking the part, although it did kick off her career.
Yeah.
But still, shouldn't have done it. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people just chose not to read her as a character of color.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
chose to just gloss over.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, granted, it's not like it's constantly, like, brought up.
No.
But that's because it
But
shouldn't
it's
have to
there.
be.
No.
'Cause-
And contextually in regards to, like, economic status
yeah.
in the book and
Absolutely.
other factors that are at play, it would make... I don't want to say it would make more sense,
Well,
but it would have a
that's
lot
starting
more...
to get
Yeah, it would
iffy.
have a lot more meaning, maybe. I should say that.
Yes, agreed. District 13 or 12.
Yes.
Sorry, just skipping ahead to some later books.
Spoilers!
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
Oh god, spoiler alert, there's a District 13.
I mean, we're going to talk about these in detail, so if you don't want
Yeah.
spoilers for that, then,
We always spoil everything. That's part of
Yes.
our show. Sorry about it.
yeah.
Not sorry about it.
Not
anyway,
that sorry about it.
so yeah, I know. And then wait, just real quick while we're still on the topic, you know,
Ye-
people were upset about the fact that in the films Rue was cast as an African American actress.
Yes. People
And it was
were
like,
ups-
really?
Why?
Wait, really? You're upset
Hey, why?
that one of the, I don't know, like sub-characters
Yeah, a minor character
was
is
cast as African American when the
Yeah, what
lead
is-
character was supposed to be of a different color and she got whitewashed? Wonder what your problem is.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think it's accuracy to the books. I don't think that's what
Nope.
your issue is.
Abso-freaking-lutely not. You know, people tried to whenever Star Wars, the most recent Star Wars came out with Finn and everything, they were like, I'm not racist, I'm just trying to be accurate to Star Wars because they're clones. And I was like, yeah, right.
Not
okay.
in this one.
In this one, there is no hiding behind anything. You can't say
No.
you're trying to be accurate to the book. That's just crap.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
But let's just not accept it, but move on from the fact that what's done is done.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about it the way it was cast.
Yeah.
Always fight the system. Anyway, speaking of fighting the system, people are really... I know we're not talking about feminism right at the moment, actually, but I'm just going to skip into the... People are really equating, like, modern-day politics to, like, Hunger Games and Harry Potter, which we're also going to talk about later, guys.
Dystopia.
Yeah, dystopia, and, like, how teens have been... influenced by these dystopian novels where it's up to them, the young people, to fight back against this overpowering monolithic government.
Fascist regimes.
And and now people are like, why are you surprised? You fed them constantly,
the
empowered
same narrative,
them,
yeah.
and then now you're like, what?
What are you doing?
Oh no.
We didn't mean to do that.
So these books, well, some of these books to movies, not all of them. We're going to talk about Twilight too, and Twilight is not
Isn't different,
that narrative
but they're,
at all.
You
but
know,
most
big
of them,
trend.
Yeah.
This kind of dystopia idea with the lone, usually a heroine, which is, you know, cool.
It is cool. Well, I mean, except for Harry Potter. But
well, yeah.
We do have Hermione in that series,
Yeah.
so.
Harry Potter's a bit older as well than some of these other ones that got made into movies. It's, what, mid-90s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good point. So yeah, Katniss is super
Is what she
powerful.
Yes.
I liked. Sorry, I was trying to form this sentence in my head.
Mood.
I liked that they were able to present her, especially near the end of the first book and the beginning of the second book, as a character who has PTSD.
Yes.
You know, like, she went
because
through...
you would.
Yeah, exactly. I know, but I feel like in most, like, books or TV shows, you know, oh, these people go through these, like, traumatic, horrific situations, and then they come out on the other side and they're like, we won!
Yay! I'm fine now!
And, you know, Katniss was portrayed as having problems. She couldn't sleep. She had flashbacks. And I really liked that she was written that way because, once again, intersectionality, you know, like, you have to talk about...
disability.
Yeah. So...
mental illness.
I thought that was very cool. And I also liked that she wasn't, like, a perfect heroine. You know, besides that, sometimes she had, like, trouble making the right decision or, like, trouble deciding what the right decision was. You know, when a lot of, like, traditional heroines are portrayed as, like, though, you know, even though they're, like, young and they're thrust into this role of power, they suddenly know...
They just take to it.
Yeah, they suddenly know how to do everything, and they're like, ha ha ha! Yeah. I'm all powerful and all knowledgeable. Yay. And I liked Katniss because she wasn't. She was like, I don't know what to do sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that stems from her kind of not really necessarily choosing to become what she was. She kind of became, you know, a figurehead for something that she didn't start out wanting to. She became a symbol of something that she didn't mean to, and she kind of just had to embrace that for her, I guess, literally to survive, she had to embrace that.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, of course, we couldn't talk about Hunger Games without talking about the very touching moment where this all starts, where she... volunteers.
Yeah, that's where she has her agency and makes her choice.
Yeah. And takes over for her poor sister, Primrose. And...
Yeah.
Well, what?
Oh, I didn't know if you were about to move on or not.
No, I mean, well,
Okay.
I guess not really. I was just going to talk about that familial closeness that they have. That was the other thing. Okay, so they wrote her mother as having, like, severe PTSD.
Yeah, depression.
And depression. Major depression disorder. Like, that...
Which doesn't really come up in the movie very much. It's touched on a little bit.
Yeah, but it's written more in the books.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, look at that.
Yeah. It was really
Thank
powerful.
you. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
But, like, thank you for writing about it, because that's really important.
Yeah.
And she, you know, kind of had to become this mother figure, both to her own little sister and to her mother.
Yeah.
Because her mother was incapable of taking care of herself.
Yeah.
It was very depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that kind of gave her... And she was a very multifaceted character. Because, okay, I actually really love Twilight, and I know we're going to get on to loving it and hating on it.
Yeah.
Hating on it a lot much later, but let me just start by saying that I felt like, you know, okay, so obviously they wrote a love triangle into the Hunger Games, and I think definitely that choice was made purely out of it's going to help sell the books. You know, young adult fiction plus love triangles equals money. That's just how the world works, all right?
Yes.
But I can accept that. And I would like to say that I think that Suzanne Collins motivated her love triangle far better than Stephanie Myers did with Twilight. Because or not even necessarily motivated it better, but plays it out better. It just adds more facets to her character, if that makes sense, you know?
No, I agree. I think, I don't know, one thing...
Because it's real enough for someone to like more than one person and feel torn about it because there's two different worlds. Because, you know, What's-His-Face was from her home. He was... Actually, they both were. But, like, you know, she grew up with one of them. He was, you know, kind of her protector and, like, her friend and all this jazz. And then, you know, suddenly she's thrust into a new situation with this other guy. And they become close during that because they kind of, like, have to, situationally.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just thought that it made her more realistic instead of isolating her and making her kind of seem fake the way that Bella comes off in Twilight when it comes to the love triangle stuff.
Yeah. What I think I like about her is that it kind of, I don't know, it makes her seem flawed the way she treats it.
Oh, yeah,
even though,
for sure.
Even though she's completely justified in, like, what she's doing. Like, just the way she, like, in the first book and movie where she's kind of like, if I play up this romance with PETA, it's going to help both of us survive. Which I think... Yeah.
Reasonable.
I think it's reasonable. And it like hurts him when he finds out that she was kind of like playing it. Not that she has no feelings for him, but that she didn't have the depth of feelings that she was pretending to have. And I'm like, I think that's realistic. And maybe it makes her seem kind of like cold, but like
it does. It just makes her seem like a flawed real person.
Is that not what you would have to do? Like,
absolutely.
And then, you know, she kind of discovers in later times that she really does have deep feelings for him, but...
Oh, boy. Okay, speaking of the end of the first book and, like, the PTSD, the end of the first book, at the time, made me distraught, because, okay, it's been a while, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but she ends up... Maybe this isn't the end of the first book. Oh, my goodness. Maybe this is the end of the last book? It's the end of the last book. Okay, whoops. I'm skipping way ahead. I just remembered this. The end of the last book, okay? It made me very distraught. She ends up married to PETA, incredibly broken by PTSD.
Yeah.
And has his kids, and she doesn't feel like she can connect to her children because her life is, like, riddled with complications from her trauma.
Yeah,
but like,
and spoiler, she lost like 2 little sister figures over the course of the book. So,
yeah,
like, it's not surprising that she would have a hard time connecting to young children.
Right. But like, it's just like, it just felt like she just kind of coalesced the things that were happening around her.
Yeah.
You know, like, she was completely, and I don't mean like the author accidentally deprived her of agency. I think Suzanne Collins like purposely deprived her of agency and gave us this heartbreaking ending.
Yeah.
Where it was like serious, like she was trying to make a point. Like people get deprived of their agency, they stop making choices and they just accept whatever someone else says is their fate. And I think that's exactly what happened to Katniss in the end of book 3, and it was really horribly depressing.
Yeah, it was sad.
I remember like just feeling heartbroken because
I felt empty after I read that book, but
it's like I can't I could at the time I was like 15 and I didn't realize that the author was trying to make a point.
No.
I was just like, this is horrible. Why would she end it that way? And now I'm like, I see why she ended it that way. It's still heartbreaking, but I see it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Katniss, man. Wow. Even as I'm talking about this, I get a renewed appreciation for Suzanne Collins' writing.
Yeah.
Like, not so much the movies. I mean, the movies are good, okay? They're enjoyable.
Oh,
but they're just Hollywood action movies.
Yeah, they don't have as much of the...
Yeah, there's...
I don't know, there's something so...
The intense...
Yeah, intensely dark about the books where you're reading it, and sometimes you're like, oh, I'm having fun reading this, and other times you're like, this is horrible. This is a horrible thing to happen to people.
Yeah, it is.
Especially in, like, well, I mean, not... Definitely in the first book, but definitely also in the second and third book when you get into more people who were also in the Hunger Games and survived through it and kind of their sharing of experiences.
Who is it? Okay, so in the second one, when she goes back for the 75th annual Hunger Games,
God,
there's
the second one is so good.
There's a couple from one of the districts. They're really old. And one of them...
Oh, yeah, like the scientist.
Yeah, one of them, like, can't speak or something because of some sort of complication that happened in his time in the Hunger Games. And that just, like, was really...
You know what's good about the second one is... Okay, in the second one, she and Peeta have to go back because they did this. It's the 75th, so they do like special Hunger Games sometimes, and because the Capitol's not happy with Katniss and Peeta, they do one where we're like, oh, we're gonna bring back old victors and they're gonna fight because they're hoping to take out Katniss and Peeta in this one. But she, like, when she's preparing for this and she's thinking about, oh, what allies do I want to have while I'm in there, she doesn't go for the people who are necessarily, you know, big and strong and the people from the privileged districts who have maybe the strength and the whatever, the training.
Oh, I feel like she learned to be wary of those people from her version of the Hunger Games, you know?
Yeah, she goes for the underdog. She goes for the science-y people, like the old science people, and Haymitch is like, what are you doing? You're gonna die.
Well, I mean, and Haymitch is in there with them, of course.
Well, not in the arena, is he? No.
Yes.
He can't. There can be 3 of them in there.
I thought they took it.
No, it's just Katniss and Peeta. I feel like Haymitch tried to volunteer for Peeta, but Peeta wouldn't let him.
Clearly remembering this differently. I thought that Haymitch was in the arena with them.
No. Well, because he's...
Hold on, guys. Keep talking.
No, because he was a District 12, so he can't be in there too. Because
I think
there
they
could
brought
only
back
be
all
2
the
of them.
No, didn't they?
No. There was a drawing, but because there were so few from District 12, it worked out nicely for the Capitol to be able to get them. And Haymitch wanted to go in for Peeta so that Peeta would like be guaranteed to not die, but he's like, no way, because I have to protect Katniss.
Right. Of course he's...
So, no, Haymitch was not in there. I will bet all the money I've ever seen.
All right. You're right.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. There's...
Man, I clearly don't remember a lot about that.
Yeah, that's the one where...
Beatty and Wirus are the old scientifical...
Yeah.
Scientifical?
Scientists.
Wow. Okay.
Scientific.
It's time for me to go to bed.
Apparently. Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's the one where in like the interviews before they go in, Peeta lies and says that Katniss is pregnant to protect her, which I have mixed feelings about.
Explore them. That's what we're here for.
I mean, on one hand, yeah, that's a really smart thing to do, but also, hey, another way to take away Katniss's agency. Especially agency in regards to reproductive rights, when even though she's not actually pregnant, the fact that you would lie and say that she is kind of takes a choice away from her.
Absolutely, especially because this is not something he discussed with her beforehand. No. It would have been a different story if he had said, hey, Katniss, I have an idea. I'm going to protect you by telling everyone you're pregnant. And
which she would have said no.
Right, well, and that's exactly why he didn't tell her. But that creates a problem because it absolutely takes away
the exact same thing that happened in the first one where he said that he was in love with her to help protect both of them and she got like mad at him.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happened in the second one and I'm like, Peeta, can you chill?
He did
can
not
you stop it?
Learn his lesson. No. Absolutely. Not at all.
But yeah. And I don't even think they had, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they had intimate relations with one another.
No.
So that...
But it didn't matter because, remember, they were engaged. Yeah. Those of you on the air, you can't see my air quotes, but they were quote-unquote engaged.
Yeah, for the Capitol because...
Yeah.
They had to keep escalating their relationship to, like, protect themselves.
Yep.
So...
And, of course, Peeta was, like, fine with that.
Peeta's like, yay!
And Katniss was, like, not okay with it at all.
I'm trying to deal with stuff.
Yeah, it's a hot bummer, really, to be honest with you.
Man, yeah, those books are hard. This is some intense. And then I look back and I'm like, these are for children. These are for, like, preteens. This is for, like, 12-year-olds. And I'm like, this is dark stuff.
I know. I remember a lot of my friends. I read them, I think, my freshman year of high school, but a lot of my friends read them in middle school.
Yeah.
So I know. I think back on that, I'm like, man.
Ow.
That is intense.
It is. It's pretty intense. Not that there's anything wrong with darkness in children's and YA books. I mean, but, like, gosh, it's just devastating.
Yeah.
It's good writing, but...
I think that it's probably good to, like, expose them to heavy topics, but you have to appreciate that they probably won't understand the nuances of them at the time because I certainly didn't.
No.
15-year-old me? No, I read The Hunger Games and I took it on face value.
Yeah. I don't think you really realize how, maybe this is what you mean, you don't realize how dark it is when you're that. I mean, you're like, oh, this is violent, but, like, I guess when you're that young, that kind of excites you. You're like, oh, I've never gotten to read this before. Ooh, violence. But, you know, later you're like, huh. Ow. Ouchie. Ooh, ow, ouchie.
Yeah,
that
really
hurts. Anywho.
Alrighty-yo. We're going to go to a musical break. You're going to be listening to some Paramore, some Florence and the Machine, some Cat Power. And when we come back, we'll probably be talking about Twilight.
Wee.
That was Marina and the Diamonds with Rootless.
Yee.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are the Pop Culture Feminists on Studio U, Voice of OU, and today we're talking, there's not a good way to say this, book series that have turned into films.
Mm-hmm. YA film adaptations.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. Books. Thank you for saying it that way. That was much better.
You're welcome.
Today, we've already covered Hunger Games. We talked a lot about Hunger Games, and now we're going to talk about Twilight.
Yee.
Everybody's favorite series to make
favorite.
Fun of. No.
Oh, to make fun of.
Yes, everyone's favorite to make fun of.
Series we love to hate.
Yes. Except for I kind of love to love it, so...
Me too.
I mean, wait, listen.
Guilty pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. I know that it has a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I will unabashedly say I loved the Twilight. I love watching the Twilight series.
I feel like...
And not to laugh at it, to enjoy it.
I feel like everyone who, read it or watched it when it first came out has gone through this phase of, genuinely liking it, and then it's uncool, so you hate on it more than you even actually hate it, and then you hate it genuinely, and then you like it ironically again, and then you like it unironically, and now we all just actually like it even though we know it's bad.
That's a perfect cycle of what we've gone through, because I absolutely was at the film on opening night for both 1 and 2.
Something like that.
Actually, I might have even been there for 3. I know I wasn't there for 4. I did see
I saw
4 part 1 in theaters. Okay,
that's an upsetting film to see in theater.
Part 1?
Yeah.
Trying to remember.
#body horror.
I know that part 2, when I finally saw it years later.
Oh, that one's so good.
Well, let's go ahead and do our spoiler right now.
Twist ending.
That twist ending.
Oh my god,
messed me up.
So good.
I was like,
what?
Exactly. I was like, I read the books. This is not how this is supposed to happen.
Oh my god, it was so
good. And then
good.
They were like, gotcha.
Psych.
And you're like, oh man, they did. They did get me.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I saw that years later because I definitely saw.
I saw that one in theater.
No, I saw 1 and 2 on opening night in theaters. I might have seen 3 on opening night in theaters, but I definitely saw it in theaters. I saw 4 part 1 in theaters, but not opening night, and then I didn't see 4 part 2 until years later, only a few years ago. Oh boy, that was okay. Wait, I can tell you guys as someone who was there. I was there. Twilight, opening night, first movie. The moment that Edward walked on his screen for the first time, the entire theater screamed.
Good.
Screamed bloody murder. I was there. I was part of it. I
mean,
did
to be fair, I can relate to the feeling of wanting to scream when you see Robert Pattinson.
Oh, savage.
Ba-doom.
Oh, boy.
Nah, he's not that bad looking.
No, he's
alright.
Hey, whatever happened
Team
to
Jacob, whatever.
Ooh.
Uh-oh, I have to leave the podcast. Bye, I've been fired.
Yikes. Yeah, Lily, I think I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Fine, bye.
So, I want to ask, did they ever, what happened to them? IRL, Robert Pattinson and,
who knows?
What's her face? Swan. No.
Kristen Stewart.
Stewart.
Well, she's still doing stuff.
He's
not so much. I can't tell you the last thing he was in. Of course, I can't tell you the last thing she was in, but I've seen her more often.
She's been in some more stuff. Because she was in that Snow White movie.
She was
Snow
on
White
SNL not that long ago.
And then she,
she's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Or at least she's
did
been
that
in the
movie
media.
with Jesse Eisenberg. American something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, I know, but they were, together IRL, and then they broke up, and then they were together, and then they were, together, and they were engaged, and then she cheated on him, and they broke off their engagement.
Well, yeah.
But then I thought they got back together after that?
No.
Question mark?
Yeah.
Speaking of, are Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth still engaged?
No.
What happened to that?
I knew that she wrote a whole album about it,
Oh,
so.
boy. I only listened to Malibu.
No, the whole, I don't know what the album was called, but the one Wrecking Ball was on was about her relationship with him.
What?
After they broke up.
Wait. But then they got back together.
Well?
I'm asking, are they still involved? Because I knew
doubt it.
They were together, and then they had a big breakup, okay? But then they got back together. I thought Malibu was about him.
Well?
Is it not?
I don't know.
Malibu came out 2 years ago, though.
I don't know.
So
spoiler alert, I don't really care about Miley Cyrus, so I don't really keep up to what happens with her love life.
#bummer. Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, obviously I haven't kept up that well either, because I don't know the answer to my own question.
I don't know.
Okay, moving on.
Who are
Twilight. Kristen Stewart.
We branched off a little bit, but
had to get in some celeb gossip.
Yeah, of course.
Am I right?
Yeah. But Twilight.
Yes. Okay. So, yes, okay, everyone hates Bella Swan. We get it.
We get it.
She, unlike Katniss,
Mm-hmm.
Bella Swan was too flawed.
Yeah.
You know? Like, Katniss was flawed in a way that made her
different
more
ways.
relatable.
Yeah.
Bella was flawed in a way that made you want to punch her.
Yeah, for being so, like, ineffective.
And just wishy-washy and...
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to point out that I really love that scene in New Moon, though, at the beginning of New Moon. Not that, like...
Not the
this
depressions.
hasn't anything to do with characters. Oh, no, that one.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, the way they filmed it.
Oh, yeah, that was
It was
excellent.
beautiful. Honestly, that was one of the best scenes they filmed.
The best filmed scenes in the entire series.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that was very cool.
'Cause
Because it perfectly reflected what it did in the book. Because in the book, there's just like 4 pages that says like November, December, January, whatever, and which was cool.
Yes, oh, absolutely. That was super cool in
And
the book.
it was cool in the movie too. So.
Okay, so I'm just gonna skip past 1 and 2 and maybe even 3. I don't remember when she gets pregnant. I think it's in Breaking Dawn.
It's in 4.
Yeah.
Nothing happens in the 3rd one, so nothing important.
Yeah, I can't even come up with what happens.
Nothing happened. They got engaged, and that was the most important thing that happened in the whole book.
Oh boy. I know, I was literally my whole brain.
You can just skip
I was
that one.
racking my brain and I was like, what
And
the heck happened in
Eclipse?
Eclipse?
Such a big book, and nothing happened in it.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy.
I have that book. It's very thick.
Thick.
THICC.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So let's talk about Breaking Dawn because
Yes.
honestly, her little arc about reproductive rights is probably the most interesting thing that happens to Bella.
Oh, no doubt.
So let's just go there.
The 4th one's, I don't know. I hesitate to say the best, but the best.
The most
interesting. The most compelling.
Yes, absolutely the most compelling.
And I don't know, it feels like such a departure from a lot of the rest of the series where it's like exploring these things that are like, oh, well, that's weird. This is not just a romantic story or whatever.
Yeah, this isn't just a boring love triangle. Well, okay, it's boring. A overly complicated love triangle anymore.
Yeah.
Suddenly there's
Like
story.
Interesting things that are happening.
Oh, you know, they wrote in some good backstories to some of the other members of the Cullen family.
Yes, that is true.
Was that in 4? Does some of that happen in 3?
I think some of that happens in 3.
Okay, well, at least they did that in 3,
Like
to be honest.
Rosalie.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, hers
And that's
is awesome.
why she becomes a compelling part of book 4.
Yes.
Is because
Because
of her
before
backstory.
she was just kind of a bee
yeah.
that didn't really like Bella.
Or like anybody or have
No.
any storyline whatsoever.
Yeah, except to
The only
be a
person you
bee.
cared about was Alice.
Yes.
And then, of course, Alice becomes rather irrelevant, but
Yeah.
whatever.
She's still cool though.
Her spiky hair in the movie, you were like, I want to be her.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yes.
Okay, so, for those of you who don't know, in the 4th book,
Mm.
Bella and Edward are married and they go on their little honeymoon,
Mhm.
and she gets pregnant even though he doesn't think it's possible.
Mhm.
Wild.
Wild.
And then, of course, Edward is like, kill the baby. It's a monstrosity.
It's gonna kill you. Well,
Yeah.
because it literally is. Because it's like
Well, yeah.
growing super fast, and it's stronger than she is. Because it's like half vampire. It's really like
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is kind of terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
But she's like, no, I don't want to kill it, even though it might kill me, because I love it.
Yeah. And the only person she can turn to for help is Rosalie.
Yes. Yes.
Because of her she always wanted a baby.
Yeah.
And then
she's
she
like,
was no
"Yo, you
no
have to
longer
help me."
able to conceive because she was turned into a vampire because she was assaulted nearly to death, almost to
Mhm.
death, I guess.
Yeah, and then Carlisle found her and
saved her by turning her, but it made her mad because then she could no longer be a mother, which was basically her whole
Yeah.
MO.
Mhm.
So of course she was perfectly willing to help Bella because she wanted the baby to stay.
Yes.
I can appreciate that Stephanie Myers
Mhm.
created a whole new like lore of what happens when a vampire impregnates a human, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she went out on a limb and it worked.
She did that.
It worked.
Yeah. It was
And I also
interesting.
applaud her for writing about
Yeah.
some form of reproductive rights.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what you would think of when talking about reproductive rights, but that's part
It's still,
of reproductive
yeah,
rights. Is if she wants to have the baby, she should be allowed to
Yeah.
do that. It's not anybody else's business.
Right. Edward was like,
We
kill
gotta
it.
get
And
this
even
thing out.
Carlisle, who's supposed to be compassionate,
Is like, yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
he's like,
you
he's
can-
like,
girl,
yeah.
you can die.
we shouldn't do this.
Yeah, and
he would-
Jacob too was like,
Oh, well, I mean, Jacob just hates vampires to begin with.
well, yeah, but he wanted her to not
Die. Yeah.
Which I think is what everyone wanted, but
I mean, and that was kind of a funny scene because, you know, Jacob shows up and he's all ticked off and ready to rumble. He's like, Edward, I'm going to kill you because you put her life in danger. And Edward's like, dude, I am with you 1,000%. Please.
yeah, he's like, punch me now. There's literally a scene where he's like, yeah, please beat me up outside because that's how bad I feel. And Jacob's like, bro.
Bro, you okay?
And he's like, no.
He's like, I'm not.
Nothing's okay.
He's like, I've basically killed my wife. Except for not yet. It's slowly happening.
Yeah.
And Jacob's like, this is a new dynamic for our relationship because normally we fight each other.
Normally we're on opposite sides, but we're on the same side. But Bella's like, nah, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, it's her right. It's her right.
It is her right. It absolutely is.
Yeah,
Of course, we don't even
What?
know if she could have had it removed, I guess. I feel like that's a lore in other things where it's like you can't because it's so strong, but like I don't think they explore that in there.
Yeah. I think we're supposed to operate under the assumption that Carlisle is a vampire
and
doctor and he could do it
something
because
about it,
he's old and powerful.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's I don't know. I was about to say something, but it's kind of gross about what happens in the book, so we're just going to gloss over that part, so.
Well, we'll have to talk about that later because I'm not sure what you're thinking of that's gross.
Well, because his vampire, they bite the baby out with their teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So it could break the sac, the placenta, the strong vampire placenta.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Too hot for radio.
Oh, man, that was nasty, especially in
gross,
the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That
there was a lot.
That was gnarly in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, at least in the book.
Her labor scene is gnarly.
Yeah, that's not for the weak stomach.
She gets beat to heck because it's so strong.
Ugh.
But, hey,
and then
she survives.
I was going to say, don't they change her to save her because she's dying?
She literally almost practically... Well, she kind of does die, and they have to restart her heart during the labor. And then they bite her all over, so she'll become a vampire.
Part of me likes to think that... Sorry, this is, like, really dark, but part of me humors the fact that, you know, she just desperately really wanted to be a vampire. Because, I mean, that's been her whole thing. All these other books. She's like, turn me. And he's like, no. And even then he's like, oh, I'll turn you after we get married.
And then he's like, I still don't wanna.
Yeah, he's like, no, I lied.
Trying to convince her to, like, wait. He wants her to go to college first, and she's like, no, that's not the arrangement that we have.
Yeah, right. She's like, don't lie to me. And so part of me humors the fact that she was like, it is gonna kill me, and to save me, you're gonna have to turn me.
Now you have no choice. Yeah.
I don't know. Just a thought. Whatever.
But yeah. So yeah, just interesting ideas in that one. I mean, there is a fair amount of, you know, kind of problematic ideas about womanhood and women in romance context, especially in the earlier ones, I guess. Not so much by the fourth one, I guess, but I don't know. Just very much a lack of agency on her part.
For sure.
And a focus on the romance.
Although, okay, I would, like, definitely that was written into the books, but I think Kristen Stewart being Kristen Stewart made it 10 times more prevalent in the movie because she just plays it so blankly. I don't know how to put that nicely. And so that just adds so much to her lack of agency.
True.
What I do like, at least in New Moon, is that
I like New Moon.
They give her sort of a character in New Moon. Like, Edward's gone, and she becomes a real human.
Mm-hmm.
Really, she suddenly becomes a relatable type person where
she's her heart broken.
Yeah,
and she's trying to recover from it.
Right. She's trying to recover. She's trying to date, and she's also like seeking thrills to make herself feel like to distract her, to make herself feel differently.
Yeah, for real.
And I mean, it's like, oh wow, Bella, look, you have a character.
Yeah, you did it. And then you got a whole character.
Boy, and then she runs through the crowd in Italy, and that's just a different thing. But
fun.
You'd think that scene would be really climactic, and it's just like not.
No.
And it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, it's because literally all he was gonna do is step out into the sun
in a crowd full of
and
people.
Be glittery. And I'm like,
that wouldn't necessarily. I mean, okay.
People would be like, what the heck?
I guess the idea is that the vampire council
would be mad.
Watching him.
Yeah.
And so they would immediately kill him.
Yes.
Instead of like doing it later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just didn't. It didn't build up the right way.
No, it's kind of silly. A lot of the stuff is kind of silly.
Oh well.
The CGI wolves.
I like the CGI.
I mean,
wolves.
I do too. They don't look real.
Oh no,
but they're
not at
very
all.
cute.
Oh boy.
Oh, sweet baby boy Jacob.
Yeah, I was gonna say that first scene. I think where we actually see Jacob transform into a wolf. That's a pretty cool scene. Like I gotta give him that one. Like he jumps up midair and turns into a wolf. That's good. Like they handled that well. That was a fun scene. But yes, there's a time, especially when the wolves are just like standing there glowering and they're supposed to look really scary. They do just look really silly. Oh well. Honestly, I'm a little over. I thought we could talk about for Twilight for much longer, and I'm sure we probably could. But I'm ready to move on to Harry Potter. What about you?
All right, let's do it.
Let's talk Hermione.
Yeah.
Because, as we were discussing earlier in the show, Harry Potter was written a little earlier than some of these other ones, so of course it still has a male lead. Love J.K. Rowling. She wasn't with the times yet.
No.
At least she gave us Hermione, though, honestly. A character that all of us could grow up with and aspire to.
And honestly, a lot of other interesting female characters.
That's true.
Maybe not quite as interesting as Hermione.
Well, she just was so present.
Yeah.
You know.
One of the main three.
Yeah. Luna Lovegood.
Oh, she's
big fan of Luna Lovegood.
Ginny is.
Yeah.
Even in the books. In the movies, she has nothing. She's nobody.
No. Oh, yeah.
But in the books, she's okay. She's kind of cool, but we don't really get to see a lot of her until later, and even then, not that much. Because Harry's not actually with her that much. But
right. Who's the girl that Harry dates for a little while?
Cho Chang?
So, yeah.
From Ravenclaw?
Yeah.
Yes. Who was dating Cedric Diggory.
Yes.
And then he perished.
Speaking of Robert Pattinson.
Oh, hey! Yeah.
Cedric Diggory.
He did.
Yeah, he dies. It's a bummer.
It is a big bummer.
Yeah, wow.
Hey, a lot of stuff happens in those books.
Yeah.
Because there's 7 of them.
I know. We can't cover...
No.
We didn't even cover nearly all of Twilight, and we're certainly not going to cover anywhere... We're just going to cover a tiny fraction of Harry Potter.
McGonagall.
Basically, Yeah. McGonagall, too, actually. Underrated.
I just said McGoggle, but whatever. She's the coolest.
Earlier I said scientifical, so...
McGonagall?
You know what? I saw a McGonagall... Oh, you were there, actually. That McGonagall Barbie doll.
Oh my gosh, she's so cool.
I was like, that's awesome.
She's rad.
Like, seriously, someone
Maggie
made
Smith.
a right decision.
Yes.
Queen. Yeah, absolutely queen. I remember when there was one of those stupid social media rumors that she had died, and she responded to it, and she was like, yeah, nice try.
No.
She was like, you can't kill me.
You can't kill me.
Yeah.
You can't.
McGonagall, it's just, she's a well-written character. Speaking of someone who's not around nearly as much as she should be.
No.
Because she is super cool.
It's like she's stern, but she cares about
She does.
them.
She cares a lot, and she will go to great lengths to make things right and good.
In the 5th book, every time she squares off with Umbridge, it's like chef's kiss. It's so choice. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, what a villain.
Ugh. What a villain, aka the most hateable villain in,
absolutely.
In literary history.
Dolores Umbridge. Wow.
The worst.
The absolute worst. That just attributes to J.K. Rowling's writing, though, because, she came up with a devious...
A villain that was more hateable than Voldemort.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was...
spot on.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even have words for this.
Yeah.
She just was.
Yes.
Okay, back to Hermione, though.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm just gonna state the obvious about Hermione, okay? She's incredibly intelligent. She's kind. Really, her only, flaw that they portray is that she's a quote-unquote, rule follower.
Yeah, she's kind of...
goody two-shoes.
She can be kind of, I don't want to say stuck up or arrogant, but it's more in the earlier books where she's kind of like...
Well, I mean, I kind of just attribute that to youth. The folly of youth.
Oh, yeah. They can all be annoying to one another.
Oh, absolutely. Harry, sometimes, you're like, Harry, shut up.
Calm down. Ron, you're like, stop being a jerk.
Yeah.
Especially to Hermione, but whatever.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Guess they end up together.
They sure do.
J.K. Rowling released something that was like, I kind of wish that I had put Hermione and Harry together.
Yeah.
And people just rioted.
We're like, no. I feel like half the people were like, yes, and half of the people were like, no.
Yeah. Oh, well. It is what it is, I guess.
It's in writing. Too late now.
Yeah.
I mean, not that she hasn't gone back on a lot of other stuff, but...
Yeah.
I won't talk about my current feelings towards J.K. Rowling.
Oh, boy.
Let's keep it in the past.
What? No, spill.
Well, she just... I feel like the more she talks about it now, I don't know. The less compelling it is and the more problematic she seems.
Oh. Okay. Wait, we should talk briefly, or not briefly, really, about the controversy surrounding Snape. Snape's character as... Yeah, I know that noise. Okay. So, here's the progression of Snape. You read Snape first, and you're like, oh, he's a mean, bad, evil man. And then you get into later, and you're like, oh, Snape has feelings, and he was trying to protect Harry because he loved his mom, and and then
you get to be as old as we are.
Yeah, and you start to realize that Snape is ultimate nice guy syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of sad because you're like, oh, I just want to keep the romanticized version in my head.
When you first read it and you were like, oh my gosh.
And now you're like, ooh, this is like what I was saying about Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors last week, where he's like, I loved her and she should have been with me.
Yeah.
I will always love her. And that's why those always things that float around, I'm like,
now I'm like, ugh.
Cringe.
Yeah.
Cringe. I know. And I mean, I get that the sentiment behind them can be more genuine, and you're like more genuine to like the people who are like posting them or getting them tattooed, and can be more genuine to their relationship and not about
and more about, I guess, their relationship to the whole series
rather
than
and not
just
like
that part of it.
Right.
But
still.
Still.
You're like...
With the only reason that he wanted to protect Harry was not out of a sense of right and wrong, but because he
was obsessed with Harry's mom.
Yeah.
And was like, she was my friend.
Yeah.
I loved her first.
Well, he's the
I
one
should
that
own
ruined
her.
Yeah, and he's the one that messed it up by calling her a racial slur, so...
Oh, was that in the books?
Yeah. He called her a mudblood.
Oh. Oi.
Which, in that world, is a racial slur.
Okay.
So, and then she's like, nah.
Well, yeah.
See, it is like the Seymour thing, except James was genuinely, like, a good person.
Well...
he could be kind of a jerk.
Right.
But...
Well, okay. Wait, we have to back up. I'm someone who's only seen the movies.
Oh, yeah.
And in the movies, at least, we only really get Snape's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, in Snape's fantasy world, James was like a bully or whatever.
Yeah.
Who picked on him and called him bad names.
Well, yeah. And that did happen. The Marauders did pick on Snape a lot. But then it was his choice to fall in with, this group of future Death Eaters.
Yeah.
And then, call Lily a mudblood in front of his friends and her friends and everybody else. So. The bullying didn't make you do that, dude.
Right.
It didn't make
absolutely.
you a blood purist / racist in that world.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. For sure. So.
Yeah. I'm not saying James was perfect. I'm just saying, he wasn't mean to Lily, which I guess is what the important thing is.
Yeah.
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 He wasn't an abusive dentist.
Mood.
Yeah. Snape just thought he was better for some... Yeah.
Because he has nice guy syndrome. You're right. For sure. It's a worse setup in Harry Potter.
He thought he had... I don't know. He just felt entitled to her, which I think is the worst...
Exactly.
...thing. And it...
That's... bleh.
And it made so after she died, he, did things that were... she wasn't there to stop him from doing things and feeling that way. He took a picture. He came to their house after Voldemort killed them.
Yes.
And he took a picture of them. Well, not he took it with a camera.
He
found a
photograph.
Picture. And he literally tore James and Harry out of it and just kept the part with her, which is such a creepy and ugh thing to do.
Absolutely.
But whatever.
Well... Yeah.
Painful. Not whatever.
Right.
But,
oh, absolutely.
No, yeah. But, it happened. I can't deny it was a big part of the plot of the last book. Mm-hmm. I guess it succeeded in explaining why Snape was the way he was. Whether it, and then...
It doesn't justify why Snape was the way he was, but it does explain some of his behavior, for sure. Understandable.
It's oh, cool motive. You're still, you didn't have to do that. You could have been, nice.
Cool motive.
You could have not done that.
Oh, absolutely. You could have been a good person.
Not been a bully.
But you weren't.
Nope.
Anyway, so now that we've ranted about Snape instead of a female character, let's take a quick musical break, and when we come back, we will wrap up with the Mortal Instruments series and all of my feelings about that horrible movie.
Yeet.
Anyway, up next, we have some Marina and the Diamonds with Teen Idol. Alrighty, guys, that was Catlock with Hard to Find. Local musician who's nice enough to let us play her music on our station for y'all. Welcome back to Pop Culture Feminists. We got to wrap it up pretty quick. So we're going to talk about Mortal Instruments, because if you're just joining us, we are talking about book series that became movies. Mm-hmm. We've already talked about Hunger Games, Harry Potter, and Twilight.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to one of my personal favorites to rant about, which is Mortal Instruments, because hey-yo, if you haven't seen that movie, it was terrible.
Yes.
Worst movie I've ever seen. Actually, maybe not true, but really close.
Horrible.
Really close.
Really bad adaptation and just a really bad movie, period.
Oh yeah, both. It was both a bad movie and a bad adaptation, because listen, there are some movies that are terrible adaptations, but they're still good movies. This was not one of them.
Nope.
Mortal Instruments film, City of Bones, awful.
Horrible. And that's why they didn't make any more of them.
No. They started a TV series.
I haven't seen that.
I didn't see it either.
I've heard it.
I heard it, yeah. I also heard that it was better.
Yes.
Which is the best people could say for it.
Difficult.
Not a high bar to pass.
No. He has just stepped over it.
Yeah, really. They raised their foot a little bit and they were like, "Oh, I'm over the bar."
We did it.
Great.
Yay.
Anyway, so I know this is not a feminist related issue, but I'm going to start off with how bad the casting was in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Holy cow.
I remember nothing about any of the actors because that's how unmemorable they are.
You know, the only person who was cast even remotely correctly was Magnus.
Yes.
Everybody else
Terrible.
was just nothing like they were in the books.
I just don't remember any of them, which sucks.
Like, I mean, okay, yes, Clary had red hair.
Yeah.
She was probably the second best cast.
Yeah.
Really? But she still, I mean,
They're all too old, too. Because they're
Yes.
supposed to be, like, teenagers in the books.
I mean, but that's just a Hollywood thing. They always cast, like,
but they,
mid-20s.
like, looked older.
Yeah, they did.
And they played them as, like, 20-something when they're not.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which makes a lot of the plot stuff make less sense.
Oh,
I feel
absolutely.
Like. But, yeah.
Anyway, if you're not familiar with the Mortal Instruments series, there's 6 books. Read the first...
In the main series.
Yes,
There's
that's true.
a billion
There's a spin-off
spin-offs
series.
now,
Yeah.
but we don't talk about that.
All right. So the main series, the Mortal Instruments series, read the trilogy, the first trilogy, and then just stop. Don't read 4, 5, or 6. It's not worth your time.
It's not worth it.
And I'm not going to talk about 4, 5, or 6 because they're not even pointless. I'm mostly just going to talk about the movie and how bad it was.
Yes.
Wait, the first 3 books are actually really good, though, and I do highly recommend them.
Oh, yeah, they're very excellent.
Wonderful books. But, moving on. So, yeah, everybody was just cast wrong, especially the villain, Valentine.
Oh, my God, yeah, that was horrible.
He was cast... Okay,
he was just like a dude.
Wait. In the books, he is described as, like, intimidatingly tall and large, and he has stark white hair, like, down past his shoulders.
Yeah.
In the movie...
A real creepy boy.
In the movie... Oh, and sharp features. That's the other thing. Like, really insanely sharp features. In the movie, who do we get? He's short.
Yeah.
He has a rat tail.
He's so weird.
And he's
literally
he's just like
so weird.
Like,
he's just like
twitchy.
a guy. And
yeah.
like, who is this?
And like he's just small.
They just found a dude on the street and they're like, "Hey, you want to be in this movie?"
They were like, "What would be the exact opposite of the way Valentine was described in the books? Let's get him." And I was like, "What?" I think everyone going into that movie said, "What?"
What?
Whomst? But
Homstuff?
Oh gosh, Jace was very poorly cast. Jace is supposed to be this tan, blonde god.
Literally, yeah.
And they found this... He wasn't, like, pale, but he wasn't...
Kind of scrawny.
Tan. Yeah, he was small. And his hair wasn't even, like, blonde. I was like, wait.
He's supposed to literally look like an angel.
Yeah.
For
like,
specific plot reasons, he's supposed to look
part
like an
angel.
Yeah.
He's part angel.
He's
he
even
angel's
more,
blood.
He's more part angel. Well, is he? Yeah, he's more part angel than some of the rest of them, too. So he's supposed to look literally angelic.
Like, I think his mom was... I can't remember.
No,
okay, whatever.
He got experimented on.
Yes, he was injected with angel's blood. That's what's up. Okay,
so
yeah.
Claire, whatever.
But less.
Less.
So, yeah. No, he's supposed to look like an angel, and it was, whoever played him did not.
No.
Rough.
No.
And the chick, what is the chick's name?
Isabel.
The sister. Isabel. She was cast poorly.
Oh, my gosh.
Alec was cast poorly.
Yes.
The mom was cast poorly.
Yes.
Clary's mom?
Yes.
Terrible. Everything about that movie was bad. The plot, they completely destroyed.
Yes.
Like...
That's why they couldn't make another one, because the plot was so screwed up.
They took out a bunch of stuff from the book. Like, not like minor scenes, like in Twilight, where they took out that minor scene with the lunch.
Yeah, that no one cares about.
No. They took out major plot devices.
Yes.
And then they added in some random stuff to, like, make up for it.
It was weird.
But it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So Clary, in the books, is like this super... I mean, of course, she's not, like, empowered at the beginning because, you know, hero's journey, blah, blah, blah. She has to get thrust into it.
She's like a fiery redhead type they cast her as, but... Less angry, I guess.
Yeah, but you know, she's supposed to be like cast into this thing, and then she has stuff going on, and she's really, you know, she has like a personality, and in the movie she's just like
bland,
confused. I think her character could be described as confused all the time.
Yeah.
Kind of like Bella from Twilight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a blank, weird, confused thing. Not good. Oh gosh, we can only talk about this for a few more minutes because we are absolutely about to run out of time. But yeah, and Isabella is supposed to be super kick butt, and in the book or in the movie she kind of just like disappears.
Yeah.
Like, is she even in the movie?
Minor characters in my movie? Nope.
But in the book she's not even really a minor character.
I know. And she's like cool.
And she's really cool, and she has all these great things that she does, whether she's being a, you know, kind of a bee, or whether she's being helpful, because she's both in the book.
Yeah, she's flawed, and it's so good.
There's, you know...
Flawed so good.
You know, she actually has a character in the book. And then in the movie, she's like, hi, I'm Isabella, and then we never see her again. She showed up just long enough to show off her really bad casting.
Yep.
And then just leaves.
Honestly, even in the books, I feel like the minor characters are a lot more interesting than the main two, but...
Oh, absolutely.
And then in the movie, they're like, well, we won't even show the interesting characters.
No, for sure.
Just look at these people.
Okay. We have 5 minutes. Oh, boy.
Quick.
We gotta get going. Well, we need to talk about the toxic relationship between Alec and Magnus because it's really important.
Because I just brought it up, and...
No, you're right. And I didn't even think about it.
You right.
Yeah. So, it's important. Alec is an 18-year-old, and Magnus...
In fact, like, just turned 18.
Yes. And Magnus is like an 800-year-old warlock, which is fine. I'm not hating on their age difference. That's cool.
It can be okay. But it wasn't here.
It wasn't. Because Alec is a closeted gay, and Magnus...
Because, it's literally a toxic environment.
Because,
his parents... the world of shadow hunters is not friendly to that.
No. Yeah, and his parents are, like, super, super not friendly to that.
No.
They're
very traditional.
Yeah, very traditional shadow hunters. And so Magnus is dating him and is like, I need you to come out to your family.
Or I'm going to break up with you because it's clearly not important to you, even though it would literally put your life in danger.
Right, like they're going to disown him and maybe even like kill him, ? So like...
like kick him out and not let him be a shadow hunter anymore.
So it's super important that...
You have to, you 18-year-old you in the
I mean, it's super important that he not come out.
Yeah.
And then Magnus is like, if you don't come out, then I know you don't love me.
You 18-year-old who's never been in a relationship before. And also, if you act even remotely jealous of my ways, then
yeah,
you're
because
being
the other thing is that Magnus
ridiculous.
is like really flirty.
Yeah.
And then Alec is like mildly jealous.
You not?
And
he's like, why are you with me? He's like insecure because he's 18.
Yeah. No duh. Anyway, that's a short version of that, but we like really gotta go.
I know. I could do an hour just on that, but we'll let it go.
Anyway, stay tuned for about 3 minutes for Lost Forgotten Oklahoma. And we will see you next week. We're gonna play you out with some Paramore Misery Business. All right. Catch you next time.